So here we are still in Chicago.
Hard to find your way out of town, but who wants to?
Who wants to? This is the coolest town there is.
Everything I've ever heard of.
I thought San Francisco was my favorite town, but Chicago's giving it a run for the money, I'll tell you what. We've come to Chicago to see the collection of the Sanfilippos. Jasper Sanfilippo is probably the most over-the-top, all-American collector of stuff in America, bar none, and it all lives at their 40,000 square foot home here in Chicago, where the house is just full of stuff. Stuff. Kind of 19th century, early 20th century stuff.
Wow.
And musical instruments, steam engines of all sorts, a carousel, an entire power plant.
Yeah.
Hello. And it's all there in their amazing 40,000 square foot home.
Imagine that.
How do we know about this, you might ask?
Yeah.
Well, my brother came to visit the Sanfilippos, what was that, like 5-6 years ago?
Something like that, and he never quit talking about it. He was just always, he had this amazed look on his face, and he'd talk about this place.
He couldn't stop.
No.
It was like, oh, you gotta see, and he brought pictures, and I'm looking at these pictures going, seriously? This is real?
Yeah.
This isn't like a museum
there is a Santa
somewhere?
Claus, he has a toy shop.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's not the Smithsonian. It's a guy's house. It's a family's house. It's him and his wife and stuff. It's Jasper who's collected all this stuff, but holy crap.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be putting some of David's photos here in the piece, and you'll know that you are seeing through David's eyes whenever you see this little picture. Don't see the little picture down here of David? Whenever that appears, then that means you're seeing through David's eyes. David, of course, if you follow the channel, is no longer with us. We lost David to that, I can't really say what I think of cancer, but we lost him to that thing, and just a few months ago. And at any rate, when you see the little picture of David, that means you're seeing the Sanfilippo home through David's eyes. So that's all very cool and wonderful. So check it out, the Sanfilippo estate in Barrington Hills in Chicago. The Sanfilippo collection consists mostly of cool stuff from the late 1800s and the early 1900s. A lot of what's here are player pianos, orchestrions, barrel organs, fairground organs, and that sort of thing. Now, I can't play for you the actual instruments because of copyright issues, so I'm playing for you stuff that I own copyrights to, not the sound from the actual instruments, which is sort of unfortunate. But I'm going to put up a playlist of all the Sanfilippo movies, and in that I will include something from the Sanfilippo Foundation, which is Star Wars music being played on the pipe organ, so you can check that out.
Talk about your subway, talk about your rail, talk about your streetcar lines as well. But when you're living out where the fields are green, you got to go home on the 5:15.
Now, a major part of the collection are phonographs. Early phonographs, Victrolas, Edisons, Brunswick, you name it, it's here. There's probably one of every phonograph made in the early days. Hundreds and hundreds of phonographs. And there's a speakeasy and casino with all of the early gambling equipment that you might see starting in around 1870 through to the early 1900s. Well, it's not Las Vegas big, it is a really big casino. Several thousand square feet of gambling machines. And there's a penny arcade. Back around the turn of the century, penny arcades really took off.
all kinds of strange, fun, goofy machines that all ran on pennies. Now these gadgets here play motion pictures. In the earliest days, Edison only released his movies on viewers like this. He hadn't thought that you could use a projector. Who knew? This is a popcorn machine, and these are my favorites. These are claw machines that use toy cranes to snag candy or small prizes. But the largest share of the collection are Nickelodeon pianos, nickel-operated pianos, and Orchestrions, huge instruments that are supposed to sound like an orchestra. Now, the machines can be divided into two general categories, European and American. This is a European Orchestrion. European Orchestrions really sound nice. This is an American machine. This is a Seeberg Model H, and it is the most sought after of all the American Orchestrions. But there's probably one of every American Nickelodeon or Orchestrion here in the house. Hard to say how many, but it wouldn't surprise me if there are over 100 American Nickelodeons and Orchestrions here. This is a Mills violin, a player violin. This one has 2 violins in it. There are several Mills violins here in the collection. In the days before electric recording, this is how a club or bar might put music into their club or bar with a coin piano. They were mostly popular in the early 19th century through to the 1920s or so, and then they fell on hard times as more and more phonographs became available. And then they were outright killed by the jukebox. But they are elegant statements in artistic craftsmanship, often sporting elaborate stained glass windows and light-up elements. The European machines were much more sophisticated, quite often one-of-a-kind, hand-built machines by one craftsman. A lot of these were designed to be street organs. They would be set up in the street and played for the public. Now, the best examples of those are here in the Carousel building. Yes, there's a building with a carousel in it. We'll get back to that. There are also carousel instruments here. This is a Wurlitzer band organ off of an American carousel. But most of what's here in the Carousel building are European street organs, band organs, and orchestrions. This is a European Decap orchestra. These came in later in the big band era. They're Art Deco, and they were meant to sort of replace the dance band. And boy, are they a lot of fun. They're incredibly rare, and of course there are 2 here in the Carousel building. And this elegant gilded monster is over 25 feet long. Back in the main house, we find more European orchestrions, again, generally speaking, one-offs, nothing else like them in the world. All of them are perfectly restored and 100% operational. And boy, do they sound amazing. A lot of the European machines have really elegant wood carvings. Now, most of these machines were made by a family, and one member of the family would be trained as a sculptor, and their whole job was to sculpt these miniature little people, some of whom are automated and play little musical instruments. This fun thing was used in the movie Hugo. And check this out. This is the monster in the room. This giant French orchestrion is over 40 feet long and 20 feet high. Standing next to it, you would swear it's a building, not a musical instrument. An instrument like this would have been installed in a place of prominence somewhere in a European village and probably would have been the pride of the community. Now, while it's incredibly massive, it is certainly not the biggest instrument in the home. That honor goes to the Wurlitzer pipe organ. The Sanfilippo Wurlitzer is not just the largest Wurlitzer in the world, it is the largest theater organ anywhere in the world. Theater organs are sort of a different breed from a classical or church organ. They tend to be much smaller and much louder, but this particular instrument is the largest one in the world. It lives here in the silent movie theater in the home. Theater organs were generally used to create soundtracks for silent films. The giant blower is downstairs, kind of by the casino. Now, when they fire this thing up, the entire 40,000 square foot building shakes violently. David got a chance to go up and see the actual pipe chambers. There's 4 large rooms behind the movie screen that contain all of the organ pipes. There's at least one example of every pipe ever made by Wurlitzer, and quite often 2 or 3 different variants.
Well, there it is, the Sanfilippo estate, part one, because we're back there again next week.
Right.
Because all we saw this week were the musical instruments, which means we didn't see the power plant,
No, not
we
yet.
didn't see the train, we didn't see the carousel, we didn't see any of the static steam engines, and there's over 100 of those. So there's still an awful lot to see there at the home of the Sanfilippos, Jasper Sanfilippo's amazing collection of stuff. Should be awesome. So tune in next week to check that out. If you haven't been over to the channel, do get over to the channel. That's Toyman Television. You can get there by clicking on a blue button, which will be appearing momentarily here, that says subscribe, and that'll take you to the channel. And if you're not a subscriber, it will subscribe you, and you want to be a subscriber so that you can find out when we go to Chicago,
Right.
or San Francisco, or New York City, or wherever we end up. We might even go to jail. We don't know. That's not, yeah, forget I said that. And if you're with the police or the FBI, or that wasn't me, that was somebody that looked like me. At any rate, do subscribe. And you can subscribe by clicking on the blue button, which is appearing just now. Down here, see it? Subscribe. Well, we're not sure how you found this video on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring. And we will see you here again in 1 week with some more massive screwing around at the estate of the Sanfilippos here in Chicago. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.